what kind of voice is powerful? And can you change the voice that you were born with? And of course, the answer is yes, you can change the voice you were born with, but you won't change to another person. You will still be yourself, but a better version of yourself. And today, you are going to find out what kind of voice is powerful and how can you develop a powerful voice so that you can not only engage and inspire anyone you are speaking to, but also to solve all these voice problems you have listed in the chat. And if you still have voice problems that are not listed in the chat, feel free to type them into the chat. And some of my clients, when they came to me, they would be saying that, oh, I want to have a voice that's like Obama, or I want to have a voice that's like Morgan Freeman. Some ladies, they would say that, oh, I like to have a voice that's like Michelle Obama. And so when I heard that, so the session will be about 2 hours and we will have some Q&A. And so when they asked me, when they shared with me that they wanted to have a voice that sounds like those celebrities. So I asked them, I said, okay, what do you like about their voices? Because in this life, you have no chance to become any of them. And so they'll share with me, they said, oh, I like their voices because it sounds very authoritative. But at the same time, it's also very pleasant to listen to. So I said, okay, that's the voice quality that you are going to have as well. So today, in the next 2 hours, you are going to learn how to develop your powerful voice, how to tap into the potential in your voice so that you can have a voice that has the same impact as these celebrities whose voice that you like. And when we talk about a powerful voice, so what kind of voice is powerful? And in my classes, they'll be saying, oh, a confident, a convincing. Now that's just another word for powerful. So when we talk about the powerful voice, we are going to take a look at 2 areas. These 2 areas, they are starting with letter Q and letter C, Q and C. So what is Q and C? So in many researches, you have probably heard that in terms of the voice pitch. So there are many researchers have shown that if you have a deeper voice, you would have more opportunities to advance in your career. And they even did some research on CEOs. It was a research done by Duke University. So they did a research on CEOs, a group of CEOs, and they realized that those CEOs with a deeper voice, they can earn more money. So can you guess how much more money they earned? And they realized that they can earn 187 US dollars in their annual salary. What? And also those CEOs who have a deeper voice, they can also have more, have longer tenures. And they got more respect from their employees. Now this is also applied to women. So they realized that for women who has a deeper voice, they hold a higher position as well. Now we're sharing these researches. Does it mean that you need to have a deep voice? Some of my clients, they came to me, they said, Cynthia, in order to sound more authoritative, more convincing, when I talk with my clients, I purposely lower my voice so I sound more convincing. I said, okay, how long did you last? There was one client, he said, lasted about 15 to 20 minutes. I said, that's already very long. Even though it was long, it was the wrong way of projecting your voice. And it was also going to hurt your voice in the long run. Now, these researchers, they have shown that if you develop a deep voice, you have so much benefit. But a deep voice is not a voice that we are going to develop. A deep voice is not a voice that you need to develop. And what kind of voice you need to develop? So this has been the voice you've been hearing for the past almost about 10 minutes, over 10 minutes. And I'm going to demonstrate you another voice. You see what the difference is. You can type them into the chat once you hear I demonstrate. This will be the other voice. Can you hear any difference? What difference did you hear? You can type them into the chat. Okay, thank you, Daryl. Slightly higher pitched. Anything else? Okay, how about the rest? Faster pace, brighter, not engaging, a bit squeaky, color and tone changed. Okay, so now I would like to have you observe a little bit more and see that can you differentiate between a thin voice and a full voice. A full voice versus a thin voice. This is the other voice that I developed. I demonstrated. Can you hear that the voice is very thin? So a lot of other differentiations that you have identified. Okay, thank you, Jen. So Jen mentioned that it's not as rich. Okay, more relaxed. Which one is more relaxed? Luis. Welcome, Luis. Luis is in Peru. Okay. So you'll notice that that voice, the pitch is a bit higher. The pitch is higher and it's a bit thinner. And in some of you found that it's a little bit brighter. It is also understandable because when the pitch is a bit higher, that's how our ears will pick up the sound. Our ears will pick up sound, higher pitched sound as brighter. So that's more having to do with how our ears pick up the sound. But the key thing is you'll feel that the sound is thinner. And also it's coming from the upper side of the body or more here. Well, the other voice that I'm speaking with or my habit is the voice is fuller, it's coming from the body. Can you now see the difference? One is fuller, one is thinner. Now in my workshops, they will be saying, wow, Cynthia, do you often switch on and off? So the answer is no, I don't switch on and off. There's no switch. And it's the same for you. Once you develop your voice, you won't be able to switch back because everything you're going to learn in your voice is to become a habit. And our purpose is not to develop a deep voice. Our purpose is to develop a full voice. And that is our Q. So we mentioned that today you are going to learn about Q and C. It's not quality control. It is the first word is quality, which is your voice quality. So what kind of voice quality we will be developing? It is a full voice, a full voice. So that's the quality we're going to develop. A full voice is a voice that's projected with the full body instead of voice that's coming from here. Now, you realize that in our society, we're all chasing after more money, bigger house, or for some, better cars. But no matter how many more you're chasing after, how much more you have achieved, the problem is still that so many people, in fact, more and more people, especially in developed countries, people, even though they get more, but they felt less and less fulfilled. Have you realized that situation? If you have realized that situation, type into the chat as 1. If you have not noticed that, you can type into the 0. And the more we are chasing after, the more we achieve, the less we feel fulfilled. And that's why you see that many countries, the developed countries, they are actually the least happy countries. When we have the happy index ranking, most countries, developed countries, they're ranked almost at the bottom. And it is because that people are chasing something outside of themselves instead of going inside to look for what they are looking for. And what does it have to do with voice? So when you are looking outside of yourself, chasing for more and more, you are getting less and less touch with yourself, less and less connection with yourself, which is being reflected in your voice. And this is really being reflected in our voices. If you have never trained your voice is reflecting that you have less and less connection with yourself when you're chasing something outside of yourself. And the result of that voice is a voice that's very thin, that's only coming from the part of your body. And voice is a reflection of everything happening in you. Everything happening in you. Your mind, your body, your emotion. And it is reflecting that you have less and less connection with yourself. And when we have less and less connection with ourselves, we are all living in the head. And it is reflected in your voice as what I call your head voice, which is a voice coming from here. And when you are speaking with a voice that's only coming from here, you are literally cut off from the rest of your body, even though you don't feel it, or you may have felt it. And when we develop your full voice, we're not only just help you sound better, sound more confident, more powerful, we're also helping you get reconnected with yourself. So that's why for many of my clients, once they developed their full voice, I could see that some of them, they're glowing. And some of them, they're sharing with me, I don't know why, I just feel good. Now, of course, that I know why, it's because that you get reconnected with yourself. And that's what you're going to discover in full voice. On a deeper level, it helps you to get reconnected with yourself. And on the practical level, it can help you solve almost all the voice problems that you have listed. For example, if you are speaking fast, when you develop your full voice, your pace will be slower by itself, so that you won't remind yourself to slow down, just to realize after maybe 2 minutes, you started to speak fast again. Speaking fast is a reflection from our society. So now you see that especially in big cities, people are all speaking fast. We are all trying to rush through things. So that's one thing you will be able to solve when you develop your full voice. And of course, some of you also mentioned that after speaking for a day, your voice is getting tired. So when you develop your full voice, it will also be solved. And there are also other voice problems that you haven't listed. For example, this is a Toastmasters meeting. And in Toastmasters, whenever you are giving a speech or in your work, you give a presentation, when you were nervous, did you realize that your voice was changing? It was changing either to trembling or higher pitched, or when you were nervous, you started to speak fast. If that happened to you, you can type into the chat as 1. If not, you can type at 0. Okay, thank you, everyone. That is also something that you are going to be able to change. when you develop your full voice, you can still feel nervous, but your voice will not be trembling, going high pitched or going fast paced. Isn't that something that you want to achieve? So I often tell my students, my workshop students, I said that you can sound confident without feeling confident. That is something that you're going to find out today. So all these voice problems we're talking about, like even a voice that is soft, that is of course high pitched, or for some of my clients, their voice is too low pitched. So all these voice problems, you can solve them when you work on developing your full voice. So that's the first area we're going to focus on today. And then the C is the color of your voice, the color of your voice. So the color of your voice, which we're going to talk about after the, in the second part, after the break. So that is Q and C that you're going to develop today. And of course, for my clients, when they are working on their voices, when they want to change their voices from a thin voice to a full voice, it is not just 2 hours or 3 hours, you will be changed. So in general, it can take about 6 to 9 months. So today, in the 2 hours, you will be learning some of the quick techniques that will help you make some changes. You will also learn the foundation, most important foundations to help you develop your full voice. And after today, if you want to learn more, I will also direct you to the resources where you can find out more. And when we are talking about the full voice, a voice that's projected with your full body, you often hear people say, oh, speak from your diaphragm. And the very first thing you want to know is there's no such thing as speak from the diaphragm. There is no such thing as speak from the diaphragm. We don't speak from the diaphragm. You want to know how the voice works. So the very first thing you want to remember is voice is vibration. So for those who are good students or great students, excellent students, you can type those key sentences that I mentioned into the chat. Your voice is vibration. So when we are developing your voice, we need to understand that voice is vibration. Thank you, Daryl. And when we are working on your voice, everything we're working on is to optimize your vibration. And where is this vibration from? Have you ever thought about it? Thank you, Thomas. In one of my classes, there was a gentleman, he said, the vibration is from God. I said, okay, that's very deep, but that's metaphorical vibration. So the physical vibration comes from, yes, very good. Thank you, Daryl. The physical vibration comes from your vocal cords. And when we breathe in, the air will go into your lungs, And then when we breathe out, the air will come out of your lungs. And when the air is bypassing your vocal cords, when you speak different words, the air will make your vocal cords vibrate. So that's where the vibration is from. It's from the vocal cords vibrating when the air bypassed it. And you see that it has nothing to do, it sounds like it has nothing to do with diaphragm. Vibration, vocal cords, air going out, lungs, there's nothing related to diaphragm. So that's why it is not only we don't breathe from the diaphragm, there's no such thing as breathe from the diaphragm or speak from the diaphragm because the vibration is coming from the vocal cords. Then why is it that you always hear diaphragm? So now we are going to find out why is it that you always hear about the diaphragm. And you want to know that breath, you realize that breath makes the vocal cords vibrate. So that's why breath is the power of your voice. Breath is the power of your voice. If you want to have a powerful voice, a more confident voice, a voice that's confident, even if you feel nervous, or a voice that's much slower paced, you must work on your breathing. And we're going to see for the past 21 years, forever 21. So today, for the next 2 hours, we're all going to be 21. And for the past 21 years, we're going to see whether you have been breathing properly. What I would like you to do is to take a deep breath. And then when you're taking the deep breath, you're going to observe which part of your body is moving. So let's all take a deep breath in and out. So in my classes, sometimes they will ask me, I took a deep breath in. Do I breathe out now? Yes, you breathe out as well. So let's all do a deep breath in and out. So if it's possible, you can turn on your camera so I can see your deep breathing. Okay, so we're all going to do a deep breathing. Okay. Okay, looks like that most of you have finished. Okay. So did you notice when you were doing the deep breathing where the movement was? You can type it into the chat. Where did you notice the movement when you're doing the deep breathing? Tummy, okay, stomach, okay. Got bigger than it already is. Lungs, rib cage, okay. Stomach, okay. So we have a interesting group. We have a few of you who can see your lungs. Okay, so in one of my past classes, there were people saying that, oh, I see my diaphragm move. I said, how did you see it? You were able to see through yourself. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate. You're going to see whether this is what you are doing. So I'm going to stand up and demonstrate. You see whether this is what you're doing. So when you were taking the deep breath in and out, you were probably doing this one. Take a breath in and breathe out. So when you breathe in, this part is moving up and stomach goes in. When you breathe out, stomach comes back, chest and shoulder dropped. Is this similar to what I just demonstrated? If it's yes, you can type as, okay, yes. Yes, or one. Okay, some of you know. Okay, very good. Okay, most of you are yes. Okay, so if you have been taking a deep breath in that way, there's good news and bad news. Which one would you like to hear? So in Toastmasters, we always hear, okay, very good. Thank you, Daryl. We always hear the bad news. And if you want to become a great leader, you need to handle the bad news first. So the bad news is that for the past 21 years, you were not breathing properly. If you did what I demonstrated, or if you have typed into the chat as yes or one, you were not breathing properly for the past 21 years. What? Okay, of course, there's good news. The good news is you have potential. So we're going to see where the potential is. So I'm going to demonstrate the proper deep breathing. You're going to see where the movement is. So now I'm going to do proper deep breathing. So I'm going to demonstrate both sitting down and standing up. First, sitting down. So I'm going to do proper deep breathing. Okay, finished. Some of you are still waiting. Already finished. Okay, did you see any movement? No, right? Okay, so if you didn't see movement, that's perfect. Because right now, most of us or all of us are spending time having meetings on Zoom. If you are nervous in meetings, you sit here and do a proper deep breathing, no one would know. But if you're doing the wrong one, then everyone on the Zoom meeting knows you're nervous. So that's the proper breathing. What proper breathing can help you, which is to manage the nervousness without everyone else knows. So I'm going to demonstrate standing up. You see where the movement is. So standing up, deep breathing. Okay, so I'm going to do proper deep breathing. Okay, done. Did you see any movement? Okay, that's another trick. The other trick is if you have to face people offline sometime near in the future, wear clothes in darker color so no one knows you're doing proper deep breathing. The reason you didn't notice was, one, of course, is not on the upper body. Two is because today I'm somehow wearing something in darker color. So now I'm going to demonstrate, direct your attention, and I'm also going to demonstrate inside view so you can see. So I'm going to do proper deep breathing. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and out. So now, can you see the movement? Okay, so now you see the stomach move. When I breathe in, stomach is coming out. When I breathe out, stomach is going in. So that's where you see the movement for proper breathing. So isn't it the opposite to what you're doing? When you are breathing in, stomach goes in. When you breathe out, stomach comes out. So now you want to know, for the past 21 years, not only your breathing was not proper, you have turned it upside down. No wonder your life is upside down. So today we're going to help you turn it around. When you inhale, your stomach should go out. So this is something you want to remember, stomach out. And when you exhale, stomach is going in, stomach in. So now you want to imagine yourself as a balloon. When the air goes in, the balloon would inflate. When the air goes out, balloon would deflate. And to understand why is it the movement should be the opposite, now we need to understand what kind of role this diaphragm is playing. And first, we are going to find your diaphragm. So where is our diaphragm? You can either type into the chat or you can show me on the screen. Okay, so the diaphragm, we all know, is somewhere around the stomach, somewhere here. Now, to find it, first, we are going to find your rib cage. So this is your rib cage. Some of you may have challenged finding your rib cage. Staying home for so long, may have gained weight. Okay, but you have one, you know, somewhere here. So once you find your rib cage, you dig in. So these are the bones, and then here under the bones, you dig in. This is where the diaphragm is. In order to feel it, whether you have gained weight or not, you will be able to feel it when we cough a little bit. So you put your hand here and we cough, slightly cough. So when you're coughing, did you feel some muscle moving out? So one more time, you see my hand is moving out when I cough. So you see that my hand is moving out, right? Okay, and if you feel that there's muscle moving out, that's your diaphragm. You realize you do have one. Now, if you couldn't feel it right now, you might have felt it in the past. For example, when you had a cold and you were coughing, you coughed so hard that you felt your stomach is painful. And in fact, that was not your stomach painful, that was your diaphragm. And also, when you were laughing out loud and you laughed so hard that you also felt your stomach is painful, that was also your diaphragm. So the role the diaphragm is playing is support. Support. How is it supporting? So when we breathe in, the diaphragm should go down and out. When you breathe in, the diaphragm should go down and out. As a result, you see the stomach comes out. And when you breathe out, the diaphragm should go in and up. So you see when you breathe out, the stomach goes in. So that's how the diaphragm is moving or should be moving. Now, you have been using your diaphragm. Some people would think that, oh, I was not using my diaphragm. You have been, until even today, you have been using your diaphragm. But the problem is your diaphragm, because of all kinds of reasons, that your diaphragm has been moving in the opposite, wrong direction, which means that when you breathe in, your diaphragm is actually going in and up. So that's why you see that when you are breathing in, your stomach goes in. So now you understand you have been using your diaphragm. It's just that your diaphragm has been moving in the wrong direction. So now we are going to help you retrain your diaphragm movement. So that's why when we want to make the proper breathing a habit, it is not by you try to move the stomach. You have to do some exercises to retrain your diaphragm movement. So that's why the change on your breathing is not going to be instant. Now, of course, the good news is you don't need another 21 years. So for my clients, it can take about 2 to 3 months to make it a habit, to retrain the diaphragm movement. Okay, so this is the proper breathing. So far, do you have any questions about the breathing? You can type them into the chat. What's important is you want to remember what's the correct one. So once we start practicing later, sometimes some people will start to get confused. Remember, you are a balloon. Air goes in, expand. Air goes out, deflate. Yes, even though you have not been breathing properly, you are still alive. Thank God. And that also means you see that you have potential. After so many years, you realize, oh, I have potential. So that's why we say that we always have untapped potential inside of us. So now today, you are not only just going to see one, but also three areas where you have potential. And the other thing is, when you start to breathe properly, it is not going to get your voice problems go away right away. You must make proper breathing a habit. So some of my clients, once we finish learning breathing exercise, they just did one session and then they went back to practice breathing. And the second session, they came back, they said, Cynthia, my voice was still trembling. I said, of course, your voice is going to still tremble because you only practiced breathing once. Proper breathing is not a habit yet. So if you want to sound confident without feeling confident, meaning that you are still confident, you are still nervous, but your voice is not going to be trembling or going high pitch or going fast paced, you must make proper breathing a habit. So that is the key that most people are overlooked. Make proper breathing a habit. Now, this is also a problem for some of my clients who are yoga teachers. They were saying that they were doing breathing every day. So when the first yoga teacher came to me, I was also surprised. I thought, oh, I thought proper breathing was a habit for them, but it was not. So that's why they still experience two problems. One is when they are speaking in a bigger room teaching, their voice couldn't travel towards the end of the room. And number two was that when they teach for half a day, their voice will get tired. So it's because, number one, breathing was not a habit. But of course, for yoga teachers, proper breathing becoming a habit can take much less time than you if you have not had yoga training. They can take 1 month to make proper breathing a habit. So in general, for most people, it can take about 2 to 3 months. And for 2 to 3 months, you are going to practice the breathing exercise you're going to pick up today. So we're going to try out a few different exercises to see which one works the best for you. And So usually when we work on breathing, we work on 3 different levels of breathing exercises over a period of 2 months. So it's not that you're going to just practice every day and hope breathing will become a habit. You have to practice it systematically. So today we're going to look at the level 1 first. So in level 1 breathing exercise, one of the easiest ways is this practice. And the practice is Kung Fu breathing. Kung Fu breathing. That's the practice. And in Singapore, many years ago, there was a commercial on Channel 5. The commercial was about a group of burglars, a group of thieves. They came into the fake Bruce Lee's house. And the fake Bruce Lee was trying to fight them. And he was doing, ah, 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 ah. He had a sore throat. And the commercial was about the lozenges and the sweets. So once he took the lozenges and the sweets, he was doing, ah! And all the burglars were down. So the moral of the story is, never ever believe in commercials. And there are 2 things wrong in this commercial. Number 1, if you practice your voice properly, breathing properly, you will never lose your voice. You never need any lozenges. Save you some pocket money. You never need any lozenges. And you have also realized, even if you lose your voice and you took the lozenges, it didn't help, right? So the best way is to develop your full voice. When you're able to do that, you are reducing the strain on your vocal cords. And number 2, the mistake in that commercial was that if you're a real Kung Fu master, you're not going to do, ah, you're going to do, ah. So we know that somewhere from the core, that's where your strength is from. So it's similar for breathing practice. And this is what we're going to do. In Kung Fu breathing, the key is we're going to start from breathing out. Start from breathing out, which means when you breathe out, you would start from stomach going in. So we're going to manage our stomach going in. And that's the only thing we manage or control. So let me demonstrate. So I'm going to demonstrate front view first. So when you do this exercise, you can put your hand on the upper stomach. So we feel the movement. We're not going to go in to find the diaphragm. You are creating tension when you do that. So the other hand, you put it aside, one hand on the upper stomach. So we start from breathing out, which is stomach going in. So you see, we're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in and out through the mouth in this way. And then stomach will come back by itself. So one more time. So that's front view, side view, starting from breathing out. So yes. I see that when we push the stomach in, which is breathing out, the inhalation will be natural. The stomach should come back by itself. Okay. So that is Kung Fu breathing. Okay. Any questions about this exercise? Okay. If you have any questions, you can type into the chat. If not, then we are going to break you into small groups of a group of 4, and you're going to practice in your group. So each one will practice about 20 to 30 seconds. So then 4 people will have about 2 minutes. So then we'll also give you about maybe 30 seconds for introduction if you have never met your buddies. So we'll give you each group 3 minutes, and then we'll come back after your practice. So for the host, can you break them into small groups of 4 and give them 3 minutes? Okay, let me see the chat to see what questions that they have. So when they come back, I will be answering the questions. And also because in the recording, when they're in the breakout rooms, it will not be recorded. So right now, for those who are watching the recording, to help you fill up your time, I'll be reading out some of the questions, and then I'll be answering them. So some of them, they were saying, we are creators of habit. How to inform a habit? And also some said, we have been doing this the wrong way since birth. So that's actually not true. We'll be talking about it later. This is not something that we have been doing since birth. The wrong way of breathing. It is not something we're doing since birth. Okay, welcome back. Okay, very good. So in your practice, any questions? You can type them into the chat and let me know what questions you have. Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, no question. Okay, very good. So looks like you're practicing correctly. Not as simple to do it? Yes. Okay, so some ask, isn't this too fast of breathing? Okay, so I'll be answering the questions and then we'll practice some more. The first thing is, some of you feel giddy. That's very normal. So if you feel giddy, lightheaded, dizzy, that's normal. The reason is because you are losing the oxygen. So the brain is lack of oxygen. So that's why you feel giddy. But so in some classes, they ask, oh, does that mean I'm practicing correctly if I feel giddy? No. If you feel giddy, that doesn't necessarily mean you're practicing correctly. It's just that you're losing too much oxygen. Some of you also asked, is it easier to start to learn this in sitting or standing? You can do both. You can do both standing or sitting, but not lying down. So lying down, that's not the state that we're going to be in the whole day. So most of the times we're sitting or standing. So I would recommend you to find out which one is easier for you, sitting or standing. For most people, it might be sitting down. For some, it could be standing up. So you can try either of them and then see which one is easier. You're going to focus more on the easier posture first. So for example, if I'm going to be sitting down like now, so I'm going to demonstrate sitting down. So this is sitting down, and here, so yes. So this will also work. So both standing or sitting will work. This way of breathing, is it too fast? So this is from Kinga. Kinga asked, now this way of breathing, yes, this is only in practice. Remember that this Kung Fu breathing is only in practice. So that's why when we're practicing, we're going a little bit faster. That is okay, going faster. And also that some other questions like, do you breathe in with your nose or mouth? Yes. So when we're doing this practice, again, only in practice, which is Kung Fu breathing, we are breathing in and out through the mouth. So you may have heard in other training that we in nose or out mouth or the other way around. So when we are doing the breathing exercise, we are both bringing in and out through the mouth. There are a few reasons. The key reasons are, number one, when we are opening the mouth, this part is much more relaxed. So when it's more relaxed, it's easier for the air to go in and out. So that's why we're using the mouth. And two is, you see, when we are nervous, we become so tense. And if you are still using your nose, it's going to tense up even more. It becomes, so especially if you're nervous, I would recommend you to use the mouth. And the third reason we're using the mouth is because we're trying to form a new habit. And if you still use the old channel, it's not going to be easy to form a new habit. So that's why only in practice, you're going to use the mouth. And don't worry, in the future, when proper breathing becomes a habit, your body will be able to use the nose automatically. We don't need to train purposely how to use the nose. Your body will be able to do that automatically. So that's to answer your question. There are a few things that you didn't mention, but I suppose it's probably in your mind. These are always frequently asked questions. One is, how do we practice? So this is how you're going to practice. For Kung Fu breathing, you are going to practice about 6 to 8 times a day, each time 2 to 3 minutes. 6 to 8 times a day, each time 2 to 3 minutes. That would be the best way to practice, because in order to form a habit, it's the frequency of the practice that matters. So that's one way of practice. The other way is for busy professionals, like almost everyone probably. So some of my clients, they would say that, oh, throughout the day, I wouldn't remember when to do the practice. Then we came out an alternative, which is that you can practice about 5 to 10 minutes in the morning and in the evening, which is twice per day, 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, 5 to 10 minutes in the evening. That's an alternative of practice. Okay, so that's how you practice. And remember, this is only in practice. The practice is to retrain the way your diaphragm moves, retrain the way your body moves. And this is not how you're going to breathe in the future. In the future, you're not going to breathe in Kung Fu way. Then people around you all get so surprised. So in the future, when it becomes a habit, it's like when I demonstrated in the beginning, you didn't notice. So that's how it looks like in the future. So one more time. If it's a habit, this is how it looks like. It's just like this. This is how it looks like when it becomes a habit. But in order to achieve that, you must make sure right now you do some exercise to retrain the diaphragm. And when you practice in the beginning, you can separate your practice from your daily normal breathing. In your daily normal breathing, you can keep doing whatever you have been doing. But every day, you're going to set some time to do the practices. The 2 ways of practices, like what we mentioned, either 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, 5 to 10 minutes in the evening, or throughout the day, 6 to 8 times, each time 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so that's how you're going to practice. And when you are able to do the breathing practice properly and practice about 1.5 to 2 months, for some of my clients, 3 months. So when breathing becomes a habit, here are some of the changes that my clients noticed. One is they realize the way they're speaking becomes more relaxed. So when you're speaking, you feel more relaxed, not like all tense up. The voice is more relaxed. So that's one change they noticed. And the second one is they notice that for those who speak fast, they notice their pace is a little bit slower. And 3 is that when you are nervous, your voice is not here, you don't feel that tense anymore. So these are some of the changes they noticed. Now, one thing you want to pay attention to is this may not be the change for everyone. Everyone's change will be different. But when breathing becomes a habit, you will start to notice some change. Some even notice changes in other areas. Like, for example, they were doing jogging and then they noticed now they can jog even longer without feeling more tired. So that's changes in other areas of their lives. Okay, so that's for breathing. Any questions so far before we move on? Okay, if not, then we're going to continue. Now, some of you also asked, is this how we have been doing since we were born? The answer is no. Did you notice that the babies, they can cry all day long, loud and clear. They never lose their voice. So sometimes we were so amazed, how can such a small body produce such a strong sound? And not only strong, but also they never lose their voice. It never happened to babies. They cried one day and the second day they wake up, they have a sore throat. No. So the babies are projecting their voices properly. And the babies are also breathing properly. And that's why you'll notice the babies, when they're lying on the bed, their tummy is moving up and down. When they breathe in, tummy goes out. When they breathe out, tummy goes in. So when we were babies, we were breathing properly. Then something happened. So if you ask a kid of 2 to 4 years old, you say that do a deep breathing, they will be doing this way. So they'll be starting to do the wrong one. And the wrong one, unfortunately, became the default breathing for everyone. So if you are breathing in the wrong way, don't feel bad because that's the default setting. So today we're going to change your default setting. So when we started to grow up, we started to experience the human life. We started to experience all kinds of negative emotions. And as we went into schools and work, we started to experience stress. So negative emotions and stress, they make your body become tense. When the body is tense, your breathing is no longer the proper one. Do you remember how was your body reacting when you were scared? You can show it on the video. So I'll see how was your body reacting when you were scared. Okay. Some of you are still thinking. Okay. Some of you probably were thinking, did I ever get scared? Yes, you did, as long as we're human beings. So when we are breathing, when we are scared, our body was probably in this way. And then you see that's where you're having the tension. So when we are angry, it's the same. When we're angry, it's right? So all these things, they have been storing in your body and make your body become tense. And of course, when we get stressed, it is also showing up in our body. For example, now everyone has neck problems. Everyone has stiff and tense shoulder. And that is all where the stress is stored. So that's why you see that your muscles is very stiff. It's not like the babies. Have you ever tried to squeeze the baby's muscles when their parents were not around? So how did it feel for the baby's muscles? You can try. Yes, very soft. So it's not only soft, but also it's very tender. So you just want to squeeze more. But for us, you see, it's all tensed up. These are all stress or negative emotions we build up all these years. So that's why before you can even breathe properly, one thing that I always ask my clients to do throughout the entire process when they develop their voice is to relax, So when we are developing our full voice, relaxation, it is throughout the entire process. So before you can breathe properly, you need to relax. So this is what we're going to cover today. So we have talked about breathing, which is you're going to practice Kung Fu breathing exercise. And then before you do that, you want to relax. And also you're going to relax all the time. So later on, after the break, we're going to talk about the projection. So remember that before you can practice anything, or before you go onto the stage, when you go in front of the camera, whenever you feel tense, you're going to relax. And we're just going to do one very easy, simple relaxation exercise. And this exercise, you may have heard me talk about this exercise over and over and over again. because it is so important. It looks so simple, but it's important. And this relaxation exercise is to sigh with joy. To sigh with joy. So now let's all make a sigh. So we take a breath in, and then when we breathe out, we're going to sigh with joy. Okay, so let's all do that. Take a breath in. Okay, so how did you feel after this? Type into the chat and let me know. Okay, relieved. Okay, very good. Shock. Different, wonderful. More calm, yes. So this exercise, there are a lot of places you can use this exercise. We're going to talk about that later in projection as well. Whenever you are tense. So for example, you're speaking and speaking, all of a sudden you get tense. What do? You can make a sigh. And we are also going to talk about how you make a sigh without everyone notice. So the sighing not only is to help you release the tension, but also it breaks your pattern of getting tense. When you are tense, so most people will be thinking, oh, I need to take another breath in. So when you are speaking, in the process of speaking, if you notice yourself getting tense, you don't make the mistake of taking another breath in. So it is not taking another breath in, because you already have tension, have toxins building up in your body. If you take another breath in, you're just going to get more tension, more toxins. So instead, we sigh to breathe out the tension and toxins. So that's how we use sigh, not only before you speak, but also in the process of speaking. You can also sigh. And so after the break, we're going to talk about how do you sigh without everyone notice. Because you cannot speak, and then wait. You cannot do that. So we are going to talk about how do you sigh without people noticing it. And also sighing tells you how much effort you are going to use when you're projecting your voice. Sighing tells you how much effort you need when you're projecting your voice, which is no effort. Because when you are sighing, there's no effort, right? So if you are sighing just now, how did you use effort? If you use effort, you can type 1. If you didn't use effort, type 0. Okay, some of you use effort. So we didn't use effort. If your sighing use effort, it will become, then that will not be the proper sigh. Sighing is more, so this is also sigh of relief and joy. Some of you are asking, how do you add joy to it? So you're just sighing with a smile. This is sigh with joy. And we don't use effort when we're sighing. So it's the same for voice projection. For voice projection, like what I'm speaking now, there's no effort. So that's why after I speak for 3 hours, I don't feel tired. Not only my vocal cords won't be tired, but also physically, I wouldn't be tired. Because speaking, projecting, voice projection needs 0 effort. Voice projection needs 0 effort. The effort you need is as much as you sigh. When you're sighing, the effort you need, which is 0, is the same for voice projection. And that's what we're going to talk about in projection. How do you project your voice without effort? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. One thing we're going to talk about, which is projection. And the other thing we're going to talk about after the break is voice color. How do you make your voice more interesting, more engaging without vocal variety? And what is the right way to help you get a more engaging voice? So that's what we're going to talk about after the break. Okay, so now let's take a break and then I'll see you later.